35F40M. My boyfriend said he will never marry me. How do I proceed? For context, I have been with my boyfriend for almost 2 years now. Throughout our relationship, he has only been the most attentive, loving and thoughtful partner. We share house chores, he would buy me little gifts every now and then, he would call me every day while I'm on my way home from work, he always talk about me with his mates etc. I can't even find a single irritable thing about this guy. Well, except he won't marry me because he promised his late wife that she will be his only wife. She passed away 6 years ago from illness and he was pretty much fucked up for 3.5 years. After lots of therapy and working on himself, he gradually opened up and we met through a board game group. He never really spoke about her until we became serious. According to him, she was the one that made him believe in true love and the idea of a soulmate. He also claims that he has moved on, but to honor her memory and promise to her, he will never have a second wife. After we have discussed this, he has never mentioned her again. It's our 2nd anniversary soon and I'm just thinking about what I want in my life. I'd really like to get married. I want someone to propose to me and I want a groom with tears in his eyes as he sees me walking down the aisle. I love this man with all my heart and he has given me everything I could ever want in a husband, except he won't be my husband. I honestly don't know what to do. I know it's common thing to be partners in all but paper, but I guess I'm a bit of a traditionalist. I feel like maybe deep down inside him, I'm still second to her. How do I navigate this? If you want marriage, then unfortunately you're not compatible. You want to get married. He doesn't. Unfortunately, that makes the two of you incompatible, which means, you break up. He isn't going to give you what you need. I would be afraid of constantly living in his deceased wife's shadow. If he's that committed to not marrying because of her, you're not going to find long-term happiness with him. Oh babe, I'm sorry. This is heartbreaking. I'm sad he lost his wife whom he clearly loved dearly. I'm sad for you, as it sounds like you'll always be in her shadow, instead of the one who brought him back out into the light. I'm sad that you are going to have to break your own heart to stay true to your worth. And I'm sad that he's going to be too late when he realizes he lost not one, but 2 women who loved him. You two are not compatible then, better to end it sooner than later. Nobody knows whether you might be second to her in his heart, but you know that he treats you very well, the way you want to be treated. You also know that he won't marry you, and have known it your whole relationship. So if marriage, or, as it looks, a wedding, is more important to you than being with him, there's no navigating this, you have to end it. Don't try to force him into marriage. How can I, 36F, stop resenting my fiancé, 36M, for his reaction to my pregnancy and abortion? I, 36F, have been with my fiancé, 36M, for 3 years, and we got engaged about 8 months ago. In early December, I found out I was pregnant despite being on birth control. My fiancé and I discussed our options, but he made it clear that he wouldn't consider keeping the baby unless we got approval from his parents, and a commitment of financial support from them if we encountered any emergencies. My future mother-in-law is a very outspoken antinatalist. She tries to convince us not to have kids almost every time we see her, because she's a staunch environmentalist and thinks it's unethical to add more humans to the world. Given the strength of her antinatalist views, I felt convinced that if we had that conversation with her, it would result in extreme pressure to terminate the pregnancy. It felt like that condition was my fiancé's way of telling me he didn't want the child, without having to state that outright and be the bad guy. I ended up choosing to get a medication abortion, and I've been struggling with deep grief and regret. I do want to be a parent, and I can't shake the feeling that I didn't stand up for myself or my baby when it mattered most. But beyond my personal grief, I'm also resenting my partner for putting his parents' opinion above our decision as a couple, for not offering the emotional support I needed during and after the process, and for seemingly moving on while I'm still struggling. I was surprised and disappointed by his reaction, because our previous conversations about parenthood had led me to believe that we both wanted to start a family within the next 2 years or so. Also, we have a combined income of about $150,000 a year, which seems like more than enough to support a child without feeling impoverished or needing significant financial help from others. Yet he still made parental approval a condition for keeping the baby. Also, I felt significant other alone during the medication abortion, which was one of the most heart-wrenching experiences of my life. He spent both days playing PS5 all day instead of spending time with me. He did ask twice if I needed him to run out for a heating pad or anything, but seemed relieved to go back to his game. I probably should have been firmer about needing support, but on the second day I was cramping so bad that I could barely form coherent sentences. He has been fairly supportive of my grief in the aftermath, and has reaffirmed that he is willing to start a family soon. But I still don't know how to move past this resentment. I do still care about him, but I'm finding it harder and harder to see him as my future co-parent, or feel excited about our upcoming wedding, May 2026. I feel like his behavior exposed deep issues in our relationship that I hadn't fully acknowledged before. At the same time, I don't want to make this grief even harder by holding on to anger. How do I process this? I am starting individual therapy tomorrow. I asked him about attending couples counseling with me, but he balked at that, saying that he believes it's only for relationships that are really on the brink. Have any of you been through something similar? I'd appreciate any advice on letting go of resentment, or navigating a relationship after a major emotional rift like this. This doesn't sound like a healthy relationship. Why does a 36-year-old man need his parents' opinion on having a child? Also, his mother sounds like a hypocrite. She had a child. Why should others not have that choice? I would be very cautious about him because this might be the beginning of him needing his parents' opinion on everything. It will no longer be you two but you four on every decision. Also, the resentment is fair given how he acted. Also, the way he's acting towards therapy, that is always a red flag. Do not marry him. He is not the partner you want or need. You will never get what you want out of life with him. He doesn't love or respect you. The sooner you get out of this relationship the better. I didn't even finish reading. Why are you still going through with this marriage? The resentment is never going to go away. This man doesn't love you if he was going to let his parents decide if you could have your baby or not. That's wild to me, and if you wanted your baby you should have never terminated. You are both 36, this was never a decision by committee. It was your decision only. It wasn't even his decision. Now that you have made a tough decision based on what others wanted, you are now being crushed by all the emotions of the aftermath of that decision, and he is playing video games. Dive into therapy. I hope you end up leaving him. You have ran through all of the warning signs and straight into the fire. He's 36 years old and needs mommy and daddy's approval, and money, to have a child? What makes you think this man is capable or being a husband, let alone a father? It's time to cut this guy loose. Grieve the loss of your child. It is a loss, even if it was a choice you made. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise or diminish your grief. Heal first, then move on with someone who wants the same things as you. My husband and I are child-free by choice, but I would never, ever discourage people who genuinely want to be parents from having kids. But we are on the same page. This man deceived you and now he's blaming it on mommy and daddy. It's pathetic. At 36 years old he needs his parents' approval to start a family with you? And what the hell is financial approval? This in itself is a deep issue. You are 36 years old, I hate to say it, have a biological clock. I'm very sorry for your loss, and it's good you're going to go to therapy. I think once you hit resentment, it's hard to tread backwards. Maybe in individual therapy you will have some clarity on your relationship.